Hey Chickadees! Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be going over the books I read in December. Let's get started with The Boy with the Bookstore is about Baker Joel and bookstore owner Max, dealing with being meshed into a shared space while their landlord renovates their stores. Will their quirks and personal business practices cause them to dislike each other, or will their crushes on each other prevail? Sometime last year I watched You Got Mail for the first time. So I wanted to read books with the similar hate-to-love, quick banter, quirky characters vibe. This book was already on my radar for a bit because I wanted to read more books with Filipino main characters. But watching this movie pushed me to thrift it. And I'm glad I did. Thrifted, I mean, because this book just made me so mad. What the summary describes as quirks of Max's was just him being an ass toward Joelle and her business. And when she got mad at him for, say, eating pastries from her display case without paying, he got mad at her because her dad said that he can have as much as he wants, and that her dad should have communicated that with Joelle. Then, because she's described as mousy, shy, and introverted, she bites back her words, and I think she apologizes back to him. And this dynamic just continues every time they have an argument. A little background on Max as a child. His mom basically passed him off to relatives because she was a bad mom. I forget if she was like doing drugs or something. When he came of age, she just left the house and cut her off completely. And now, in present day, she's in the hospital and he keeps getting phone calls to see her because she's not doing that great. Which would then lead Max into a sour mood, and when Joelle would try to placate him by mentioning how maybe she's changed, he'd just entirely dismiss her and then attack her personality. Granted, Joelle doesn't know the full story because Max won't share it with her, but Max would constantly call her naive, towing the line of just straight out calling her stupid and dumb because she has a family who loves her and believes that people can change. Meanwhile, he's just a brooding 30-year-old with mommy issues. Like, this is who we're supposed to be rooting for? Honestly, the second time they had this argument, she should have left his ass. Incredibly so, by the end of it, not only were they married, but they had a freaking kid together, and I can't even fathom how the relationship evolved into this. Ultimately, I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. On the flip side of this disaster of a book, I went back to one of my favorite romance authors, Lauren Asher, and read My December Darling. This little Christmas novella is about traveling nurse Catalina going back to Lake Wisteria for her sister's wedding, and Dr. Luke Darling, the best man of the groom, falling in love with each other before Catalina leaves for a job in San Francisco. Since this is a novella of about 200 pages or so, everything felt like it was moving at lightning speed. They went from mildly irritated with each other, to being friends building Legos and working on Catalina's wedding speech at Luke's place, to sleeping together and eventually getting engaged. And I know the goal was to have a little novella to await the release of the third book in the Lakefront Billionaire series, but I really wanted more. If this was the length of her other 600-page books, I feel like I would have connected to these characters and their stories even more. But for a short romance novel, I enjoyed the family and friendship dynamics between Catalina and her sister, and Luke and Aiden. 4.9 out of 5 stars. Back to Hater Me for a second. The next book I read was The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter. Let me just read you the summary off Goodreads so you understand why I was hyped for this book. Knives Out gets a holiday rom-com twist in this rivals-to-lovers romance mystery from New York Times bestselling author Allie Carter. The bridge is out. The phones are down. And the most famous mystery writer in the world just disappeared out of a locked room 3 days before Christmas. Meet Maggie Chase and Ethan Wyatt. She's the new queen of cozy mystery. He's Mr. Big Time Thriller guy. She hates his guts. He thinks her name is Marcy, no matter how many times she's told him otherwise. But when they both accept a cryptic invitation to attend a Christmas house party at the English estate of a reclusive fan, neither is expecting their host to be the most powerful author in the world. Eleanor Ashley, the Duchess of Death herself. That night, the weather turns, and the next morning, Eleanor is gone. She vanished from a locked room, and Maggie has to wonder, is Eleanor in danger? Or is this all some kind of test? Is Ethan the competition? Or is he the only person in the snowbound mansion she can trust? As the snow gets deeper and the stakes get higher, every clue will bring Maggie and Ethan closer to the truth, and each other. Because this Christmas, these two rivals are going to have to become allies, and maybe more, if they have any hope of saving Eleanor. Assuming they don't kill each other first. Okay, right off the bat, I was a bit iffy about the Knives Out comparison, because the Inheritance Games was also constantly compared to it, and I was left thoroughly disappointed, to say the least. However, I'm game, because Knives Out is one of my favorite mystery movies. Next, I love a good rival/hate-to-love plotline. And to top it off, it seems like it's a whodunit mystery in a big mansion with a quirky cast of characters. Well, turns out the mystery wasn't mysterying, and the romance between Maggie and Ethan felt like I was reading the romance trope with the black cat and golden retriever, but done terribly. Most of the time, we would get Maggie trying to find clues as to Eleanor's disappearance. Ethan would just be yapping along, and then he would corner her wherever he could and ask her, "Do you want to make out?" I'm not even joking, that's how 90% of their interactions would go. The other 10% would be them not digging around and actually trying to solve the mystery. Not to mention, a little more than halfway through the book, the format just changes to dual POV for some reason. I would have preferred if the book started as that, rather than constantly flashing back and forth to past interactions that they had. I gave this a 2.5 out of 5 for the creative concept of a whodunit mystery romance. Next, I thought I'd change up my reading a bit and picked up All About Love by Bell Hooks. Like the title suggests, this book is all about different kinds of love. Familial, platonic, romantic, etc. As someone who followed those self-love accounts on Instagram and read self-help books way back when, none of this information felt new to me. Though I will say this is a great introduction to self-love nonfiction books. The message is pretty much the same throughout each chapter. To quote Moulin Rouge here, "Without trust, there is no love." 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I was in the mood to read a gothic romance, so I picked up The Hollow and the Haunted by Camilla Raines. It follows the mysterious feud between the ghost-hunting family the Warrens and the rich rival family the Hawthorns. One day, Miles Warren, the closeted sidekick, gets a premonition of the son and heir of the Hawthorns, Gabriel's death. Together, the two must team up to stop the ticking clock of death on Gabriel's fate. Is a spinning wheel of fate the only thing keeping these two together, or could there be more? This was a great change of pace to either the fluffy romance books or straight-up fantasy I was reading lately. I feel like I gotta get into gothic romance more, because I really enjoy the dark, foggy atmospheres and magic and mystery hidden in the depths. As for this book, I like the Romeo and Juliet aspect of Miles and Gabriel's slow-burn romance. The sneaky glances, the small smiles between them, and the hand-holding near the end, just peak slow burn right here. The magic was also easy to follow along with as well. Miles is a psychic, so he gets glimpses of the future, and Gabriel is a mind reader, so he can hear someone's thoughts, especially if they're pointed towards him. Though I had to lock in when it came to them discovering how their families are inevitably tied to Gabriel's death. It wasn't complicated, just got a bit confused on the names and who's related to who. If this book interests you, be wary it's a duology. So, yes, it ends in a cliffhanger that left me antsy. 3.75 out of 5 stars. Lastly, I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. It follows Theodora, or Dora Eddings, a woman who got half her soul stolen by Fairy Lord Hollowvale and is cursed to be unable to express her emotions normally in this Regency-era fantasy novel. After she and her cousin Vanessa move to London during the Taun season, she meets the royal magician, Elias Wilder. Together, they work to find a cure, while trying to solve the mystery of a magical sleeping curse that has begun to plague London. Initially, I picked up this book because I heard it be compared to a fairy tale version of my favorite Ghibli movie, Howl's Moving Castle. And after reading it, I can see the comparisons. A girl cursed by a magical being, meeting an enigmatic wizard that helps her cure her affliction while learning to accept themselves for who they are in the end. But at the same time, this was different, because Dora didn't really seem bothered missing half her soul, and I feel like it made her more assertive and outspoken, shocking the people around her when she spoke her mind plainly. It also made the interactions between her and Elias fresh. No games. They would both just share what they were thinking at the time and clap back at each other on the same level. And at first I thought the whole sleeping plague plot was just a subplot, but it tied in nicely to the main story. Overall, I gave this a 3.75 out of 5 stars. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you when I see you. Take care, chickadees.